Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the State of the Internet Marketing in 2019 as part of the Industry Insight webinar series. Speaking today will be Peter Webb of Scorpion. Peter is the Senior Vice President of Sales at Scorpion. He has been at the company since its inception and has nearly 2 decades of experience helping law firms develop tailored marketing and business plans so they can better achieve the growth and case acquisitions they want. He has 2 daughters and spends time golfing, reading, barbecuing, and cooking. Peter currently lives in Southern California and is often educating attorneys and legal professionals at industry conferences and seminars. The presentation today will be followed by a Q&A. Please enter your questions into the question box in the webinar panel on the right side of your screen. All questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We are recording this webinar and we will be sending the video in a follow-up email in a few days. We will also post the webinar video on our blog at www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Thank you all for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Gabriella. Welcome everyone to the State of Internet Marketing 2019. In today's webinar, I'm going to be covering the state of internet marketing for law firms today. We're going to go through some key questions you should be asking yourself or your agency tasked with your marketing initiatives. And then we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about what your potential clients are doing and thinking today. I'll go over how people are finding what they're looking for online and with which device types they're doing so. We're going to talk about how times are changing and how the classic decision-making steps your potential clients go through are actually changing and why. And finally, the various ways for you to invest your marketing budgets online to generate more of the clients you want now and into the future. And at the end, as Gabriella mentioned, I'll be opening it up for some Q&A. But please remember, if I don't get to your questions, please always feel free to email me directly. My email is peter@scorpion.co, and I promise to take the time to answer any and all of your questions, as it's my ongoing goal to equip you guys with the tools needed so you can make better decisions for your law practice and your marketing online. So if this is your first webinar of mine you're attending, here I am. My name is Peter Webb, and since 2001, I've had the pleasure of helping thousands of law firms, both large and small, come up with tailored strategies that work best for them, right? So law firms typically call me in to identify and evaluate what they need to be doing to make the most of their marketing. A well-structured marketing plan should be able to always explain why money should be spent to further it, not just that money could be spent on it, right? There's a big distinction between those. So we need to make sure we're always having complete transparency regarding where your marketing dollars are going and what exactly it's generating. And it's my goal to explain key factors today which are influencing how we get cases today and what you should be paying attention to in order to maximize your online marketing campaigns. So, you know, new year, new you. The question most firms should honestly ask themselves is this: is my firm digitally ready for 2019? Right? New technologies, increased advertising competition, new channels and social platforms, new ways to search, such as with your voice instead of keywords, all can and should beg the question, will I miss out on cases this year due to a gap in my marketing plan, especially those I didn't know existed? Most firms I meet with don't know about these gaps. And the advice which has become a bromide now of just stay on top of your marketing trends, or keep up to date on internet marketing, or don't fall behind. Although there's truth to it, it's easier said than done in an industry that's exponentially advancing on a daily basis, right? So for example, let's talk about a few things that have changed in the last few years. Mobile connectivity. People used to do a majority of searches from their desktop computer at home or work, right? And now you search while waiting in line for coffee or takeout food, right? Review sites, largely thanks to consumer-based review sites like Amazon, which boasts 300 million active users. We're almost conditioned to look at reviews to determine if we should continue to search for a different product or service or purchase that service or product that you found, right? Video. People would rather watch something than read it. So it's no surprise that video is quickly becoming a staple for those seeking to spend time online. That coupled with bandwidth speeds, which are only increasing, and Wi-Fi being omnipresent in most areas of the country, it's a perfect combination of technology and demand, right? And finally, voice search. By next year, Google has stated that 50% of mobile searches will be done via voice search. So we'll dive into many of these things today, and I'll shed light on some key changes you should be aware of for your law practice. So going back to the original question, are you prepared with what I would call a future-proof marketing plan? By the end of today's webinar, I trust that you'll have the answer to that and many others and have a better understanding of what to do about it. So every law firm out there, big or small, has something to lose by resting on its laurels and not embracing a digital strategy. Right? And I remember recently I was in this large, beautiful conference room, and it was for this very well-established law firm, and I was presenting to the board, which comprised of several legends in the legal space. And the second I said the words advertising, internet, and importance, especially in the same sentence, I thought they were going to throw me out right there and end it. And they ended up finally seeing the value of ensuring that they were easy to find and that it's actually wise to have a professional online presence for those individuals that use the internet to actually look up attorneys, which is predominantly large, right? They didn't believe people actually did that, let alone their ideal clients. So I had to show them the error of their ways and what it was costing them, right? And so here's a couple other aspects to think with. Relying on cases that come from referring attorneys only as a sole means of getting new cases is a very expensive way to keep your caseload full, right? Referral cases are great because they already become, they already arrive at you vetted and typically wrapped up with a bow for the most part, but they come at a premium. And today, getting cases directly is more possible now than ever. So let's look at it historically. A person typically previous to the internet for sure, would go to their local family attorney or a general practitioner, and he or she would determine the merit of their case and refer them to an attorney that takes those specific case types. Nowadays, a vast majority of people look up their questions regarding their cases online, and after verifying which law firm appears to be best suited to their needs, they call them. Now, think of a correlation to the medical industry, because it still operates largely through the referral channels. Let's say you needed a knee replacement, right? And let's say you go to your doctor and they verify after performing x-rays and an examination that, yes, in fact, you do need a knee replacement. And then they recommend like an orthopedic surgeon, right? So firms can't just rely on their skill and quality representation alone if the intention is to maximize the growth of their firm. You must ensure that your good deeds and track record are easily found and widely known, right? Your visibility online usually means the difference between you being called first or not at all. It's all about being in the right place at the right time online so your potential clients can contact you. And finally, failing to maximize your visibility, messaging, and how you're perceived online will cost you cases, review, and reputation if done poorly. Okay, so let's take a look at what's changing in the legal industry online. And let me show you how your firm can adapt as quickly as possible. So everything is competing for our attention today, literally everything. From our phones and their pop-up messages to ads on streaming radio or television to commercials or billboards to free apps that require you to watch a quick video before beginning to YouTube ads that you can only skip after 5 seconds. We have plenty of choices to choose from and almost too many options with where we should dedicate our attention, which is why attention spans are so fleeting when unsolicited anyway. So it's important to think of how you can quickly tap into the mindset of your clients so you can better give them what they want. And with more choices available to them, clients want essentially 3 things, if not more, but at least these 3: value, right? Meaning they're wondering who's the best attorney, who delivers the best results and the best client experience. Engagement, they want to be courted, meaning which firms make it easiest for the client to engage with the firm and begin the legal process. And connection, they want to be able to connect with the firm's message and mantra on a personal level. So one quick thing that you can do is do away with the legalese, right? Talk to these clients on a personal level like you would in a consultation. They want a firm that empathizes with them on what they're going through. So using an example, personal injury, let's say, talking about premises liability or mass torts or contingency fees doesn't necessarily communicate to the audience like they might think it does, right? So let's use a different example. Let's say an executive leaves a business meeting and gets arrested for a DUI on the way home. think about what would be going through their head, right? Their future, reputation, let's say their career, their family, maybe embarrassment, jail time, and there's plenty of other things, right? They would want to hire an attorney they trust to get this taken care of with as minimal an aftermath as possible. Now, they may click on a variety of firms when going through the process, but they'll usually only contact the firms that connect with their needs the best from their perspective. That's typically their first call. It may not be who they hire, but that's on the firm to convert them into a new client, right? So next, we're going to go into this, which I've spoken about a lot recently in vast detail, which is what you see here is the traditional buyer's journey in making a decision. Okay, so using an example to showcase how this funnel works, let's use an individual who thinks about, let's say, finally getting a divorce, and they have questions because they don't know how it works. So they raise their awareness by going online and seeing that an attorney can actually help them secure not only a better outcome than going about it on their own, but also protecting their best interests in their family, right? So let's say they look at various firms that come up with local search results, so they know they're local, and they check out their websites and their reputations, and they even read a couple attorney biographies, right? Which would be the interest phase, okay? They then process all this and then consider who to call first. Now we're at consideration. And then they make their first call, which would be engagement. And if they like what they hear and it's a positive experience, they usually come in for a consultation and hire them, which would be the decision, right? So today's legal consumer uses the internet to research and verify before typically committing to a decision. They want to have more feedback, right? Some interesting statistics, 90% is the number of people who go online and research a firm before they hire a lawyer. This also applies to referred clients. They want to verify where you are, look up your address, right? And 4 out of 5 people don't even have a law firm in mind at the start of their research phase. So it's almost anyone's case to win. I hear that a lot with a lot of, let's say, major metropolitan areas where there's a lot of big advertisers, and they say, oh, I already am going to lose because, you know, someone else is already competing. Well, clearly that's actually not so, right? It just might interest their awareness. Okay, so the client decision-making process actually used to be a lot more linear, meaning it flowed in a straight line, specifically in the shape of the funnel you see here. Now, let me give you some examples of how each stage would actually correlate to the various internet marketing initiatives we have. Okay, so let's say at the top, raising awareness about your practice. Well, that can be done with banner ads, social media, and video ads, right? And then let's move to initiating interest in your potential client, ideally with compelling or relevant content, right? Which would be done with blogs or informational or instructional videos or long form content, white papers, right? And then moving down to building consideration in your firm, and right, and its various services. So that would be website, attorney or client videos, testimonials, online reviews, and then driving the client to the point of contacting your firm. Your firm would be landing pages, let's say live chat or anything that converts, and then finally retaining the client, which would be their overall experience, right? But today's legal consumers, what do they expect? They expect immediate answers and engagement along with instant access to information, which would be done through technology and the internet. So the first time ever, this has created a disjointed and non-linear client journey, meaning clients actually can move at will between all these various stages. And the decision to hire a firm, one over the other, can come at any moment in any stage, right? I've seen a potential client jump straight to online reviews before even looking at the website, or people going through the awareness level channels, such as social media, and then contact the firm directly and start asking how to hire them, right? So now think of all the different places people go online and how it may correlate to the different various stages one might be at, right? So website, search results, social media accounts, online reviews, blogs, videos, right, let's say on YouTube or on your site, online directories, whether they're reading the news or checking sports scores or checking email, while listening to Pandora or watching streaming TV. The list goes on and on and on, as there are hundreds of channels, and they're growing each more and more every day. So the key is to ensure the website and your overall marketing delivers helpful information, and I would define that as information the client actually needs and wants, and deliver it quickly for all the various device types. So let's say you address everything we've discussed so far, and the client picks up the phone to call your firm, and let's say it's on a weekend, okay? Ask yourself this question: how well does your law firm deliver an incredible experience to each of your clients from the moment they become aware of your firm till the completion of their case? Okay, it's a given that all clients will always want the best result that they can obviously get, or the best outcome, right? But the latest studies and surveys actually indicate that people also expect an excellent client experience. Think again of their mindset, which is focused on value, engagement, and connection, right? Their journey can begin and conclude at any stage. They're looking for a firm they can trust. Choice is so rampant for legal services today that they feel that they're entitled and deserve a great experience. And the truth is they should. 80% of legal clients feel the experience created by a firm is as important as the service it offers. 80%. Okay. And the client experience starts, as we can all think with, before the individual actually becomes a client. As mentioned before, it can start on your website, advertisements, landing pages, blogs, videos, social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You must deliver an incredible first impression, as you're never given a second chance, as the adage goes. Now, that being said, believe it or not, the average American sees more than 10,000 marketing messages every day, which means we're being bombarded by the minute, whether we're aware of it or not, right? Attention is a limited commodity today. People are now more adept, now more than ever, at filtering out irrelevant and undesirable messaging. But think for 1 minute. Imagine, let's just say, we went back 30 years and had someone experience what we do today in 1 day. It would be so overwhelming. We've built up a tolerance to disregard most of the advertising as background noise to the soundtrack of our lives. You know, if we want to cut through that noise, you better make pretty darn sure your digital content is both relevant, and I would categorize that in terms of both the messaging as well as the location from the client's perspective, not yours, and convenient in that it's fast and easy to access. A couple of statistics I found pretty interesting. Nearly 1/3 of all mobile searches are related to location. Okay, and nearly 2/3 of smartphone users are more likely to hire a law firm whose website customizes information to their location and the device type. There's over 19 different device type sizes on the market today, and it's growing. So just think with that as well. And 53% of potential clients will abandon a website if it takes more than 3 to 4 seconds to load. So think of the things that would slow down a site: animations, videos, right? And the way the website's built. Those can all increase the load time of the site. And smartphone users are 69% more likely to work with a law firm that provides answers to the frequently asked questions. Remember, this is all about them. Google wants to maintain their market share, and they're going to do so by continuing to provide the most relevant results for the searches performed. Right? Keeping your potential clients interested with relevant information will interest Google, and they'll take notice as it benefits them too. So to put this again into an example, let's use this smiling injured man in this stock photo in the hospital, right? Let's say his car is totaled and he's going to be out of work for at least a month, and his family wants to know what their options are. So he pulls out his smartphone and searches something like how to cover medical bills after a car accident. Believe it or not, this is actually a real story of how I generated a case for a client. The photo's clearly not real, but he definitely wasn't smiling at the hospital. But you get the idea. The search was actually what was tied to the accident. And if your site's easy to find and navigate and loads quickly, while also provides great content, which is relevant to what the person's searching, you'll absolutely get more cases, right? Because we no longer have an online, offline world. There's no logging off for most of us. Technology's actually made it easier than ever for legal consumers to stay attached to the internet at all times, right? Smartphone separation anxiety is actually a real thing and has a name. It's nomophobia, which is pretty interesting. And when people want information, what do they want? They want it right now, right? The internet is more accessible and personalized than ever before, and it's growing exponentially every day. Internet connectivity has evolved, though, beyond just single device types like smartphones and tablets. It's moved to an entire ecosystem of devices. And believe it or not, it's called the Internet of Things. By the way, that too is a real name and a real term, Internet of Things. I mean, I personally would have called it definitely something else, but that's a different story. But Food for thought. The average US family household has over 20 devices connected to the internet. Think of it. Smart TVs, Apple Watch, iPhone, iPad, Kindle, Amazon Echo, laptop, desktops. In fact, even connected refrigerators where you can order more groceries, see the weather, play music, and view what's in your fridge from a built-in camera, right? Times are definitely changing. Well, how does this impact you? It's a driving force in the ongoing change with consumers' expectations, which goes back to the consumer mindset, right? The modern day individual expects to access information they want, when they want, from wherever they want it. And that means law firms need to be ready to deliver the information they're looking for. And the growth of the Internet of Things aligns with another emerging trend, which is voice search. Virtual AI, which is artificial intelligence, assistants have already changed the way people search. Siri, Alexa, Cortana, Google Assistant. If they haven't already, law firms need to start preparing for this growing trend ASAP. That means optimizing their web presence for visibility in voice search queries. Now, the biggest question I get, or one of them at least, is, well, how do I optimize for voice search? Well, I'll tell you. Some of the things you should be optimizing for would be natural language search queries, which are previously called long-tailed keywords, meaning someone's typing something in, right? That's a lot longer than saying it. They should match everyday language, like how do I prove someone's at fault in a car accident? They tend to be longer than the traditional keywords. And just to give you guys an idea, it's about 7 words rather than 3 to 4 typed keywords. And 80% of voice searches are triggered by the same 25 keywords, typically starting with how and what or is. And 65% of Americans aged 25 to 49 use voice search at least once a day, and that's growing every day, right? So natural language search queries is one of the ways you could optimize. Another one would be local search queries, because remember, locality matters. Voice-related searches are 3 times more likely to be locally targeted than traditional text-based searches. And finally, mobile devices. Research shows that a majority of the voice searches that are conducted are done through handheld mobile devices, specifically smartphones and smartwatches. So these are just some of the things that you could do in terms of the voice search optimization strategies. And a couple more would be increase your FAQ pages, which are your frequently asked questions, right? Make your content easy to understand by those you want reading it. Utilize latest SEO best practices. This is on your marketing team or agency. That would be on them. And ensure your website and all directories and citations with your name are up to date with your phone number, address, and hours of operation. Okay. Moving on, if you've ever heard the term big data, just to define it, it means complex data sets derived from disparate sources used to solve real world problems. So let's simplify that, and then I'll use examples to showcase what it means to law firms and your marketing. So let's say you're a family law attorney and you're going to want to advertise to your ideal clientele. Well, there's definitely going to be prioritized criteria there, right? Not just everyone who's been divorced is your ideal client. Think of young couples that get married and have no assets and really just need an annulment, right? Another example being for a criminal defense attorney. Not all people who are arrested are your clients, right? Because they need to be able to afford your retainer. So let's use divorce for now. We'd want to target high-income neighborhoods. We might want to segment by age, right? You don't want to get in front of the 20-year-olds unless you have a volume practice or, I don't know, let's say you're going after uncontested divorces, right? You'd want to target maybe recently changed relationship statuses, like on Facebook, from married to it's complicated or separated. We always want to target the right audience. And at this point, it's a probability game. So you want to use technology in as many ways as possible to profile and get in front of your ideal clientele online, right? Artificial intelligence is actually enabling us to sift through all this data to help build an intelligent marketing strategy for your firm, right? Because a wealth of data is available to law firms. And today, humans can't sift through the sheer volume of information anymore. If you have a powerful system or technology available, it can help you better understand those factors and then actually appeal to your ideal clientele. Many firms are failing to use this data to their advantage, though. They either don't have access to it or they're not working with a marketing partner who is using it. The biggest data challenge I see for law firms is typically their inability to apply the information in an actionable way. They get reports which do nothing other than typically track activity, right? So make sure your agency is robust enough to be able to analyze this data and create strategies to give you the opportunity in getting these cases by thinking smarter, right? Identify and create your ideal client profile and do it based on case type, and then build a tailored marketing plan to best capture those cases. Ensure your messaging is relevant to what your potential clients are searching for, and include any and all of your differentiators so that way you can stand apart. Always track what's working to ensure you're utilizing the most effective digital channels so that way you can improve your return on investment. Right. So as a little quick recap of how law firms can use big data, you can use it to better understand your ideal client, and who they are. You can assess the strengths and weaknesses of your online marketing plans and identify any potential gaps, and you can shift your strategy and budget accordingly. Okay. So at this point, I'd like to take a moment for anyone attending today's webinar. We're giving out this complimentary copy of the State of Internet Marketing, which is a coffee table book and has quite a bit of additional supporting information on the topics we're covering here today. We don't have all the time to go into everything, so I figured it would be helpful for you guys to have all the information. And if you'd like to receive one, you could go to scorpion.co/SOIM, which is State of Internet Marketing, and then we'll go ahead and send it over to you. Just fill out that form, and that way you can have all the data present. Okay. So far, we've covered how your clients search and what they're interested in most, and how they're constantly connected online and what they do before hiring a firm. So now let's kind of shift the tables to where you should invest your digital advertising funds in 2019, or at least what you should be paying attention to. Okay. A few facts to think with. Mobile is the star of digital advertising. Why? Well, 70% of people on the internet are using it to find what they're looking for, so that's a pretty good reason. The average American adult spends over 3 hours a day using their mobile device for activities other than talking on the phone, which used to be the primary function these devices were designed for, right? Kind of funny if you think about it that way. And that's the primary reason why mobile advertising is so effective today. Right? And some other factors include when people have the I want to know and I want to know now and I want to do type of moments, they immediately pull out their phone and search, right? When searching the internet on a mobile device, you only see ads on the screen, and you typically have to scroll to see the non-paid advertising results, like the maps or the organic, right? And with location being tracked on every mobile device, it's possible to target individuals down to a few meters of where you'd like to advertise, right? So paid search ads are a leading strategy for mobile for clear reason, right? So we've all heard we should be blogging and writing content to gain search engine ranking and position. It used to be that most quantity wins the game, right? Meaning the website that has the most content is typically the trusted authority on the subject, and that was that. Well, this is no longer the case and hasn't been for a few years. Quality and relevance are now the focus. Just to give you food for thought again, Google indexes over 20 billion websites a day and has over 3 trillion websites in its data stores. They have enough quantity, right? The user and Google alike value content that is relevant to the search being performed. Well, how should legal content be written today for potential clients and search engines? Well, here's what you do. You typically want to write the content that communicates to your potential client, answers their questions in a way you would conversationally explain it, and then write supporting material that educates and enlightens your target audience. Okay, so let me use an example for, let's say, a DUI attorney. Let's say the primary flagship page will be on the topic of DUI defense. No surprise there. And just to define flagship page, it's the primary article. Typically, I would suggest 1,000 to maybe 1,200 words on this topic on that flagship page, right? But then what you do is you would actually also write supporting material covering related topics, such as what do I do when I'm pulled over? Or will a DUI conviction hurt my career? Or how to choose the right DUI attorney for my case, right? And then what you want to do is you want to cross-reference the topics so people can understand how they're interrelated, okay? Let's say you just read about how a DUI can hurt your career and you see a link about the right DUI attorney can help you fight it. Well, it's a natural progression. You'd want to find out more information, right? And as a result of doing all this correctly, you'd be viewed as an authority by search engines as well as the public, right? Because over time, search engines view your site as an authority on that topic and determine that your content is actually valuable to people searching, and thereby increase your organic ranking to help more people like them that have similar questions, right? So make sure you're creating content via blogs, articles, let's say infographics, ebooks, etc., that focus on quality over quantity. Google likes it, and so does your potential client. Social media has become one of the most cost-effective ways to advertise online, okay? Because it allows you to reach people in their comfort zone and where they spend most of their time, and it's not as expensive as, let's say, various AdWords or pay-per-click, okay? There are 7.5 billion people on Earth, and 2.5 billion of us are actively using social media on a mobile device every day. That's 34%, which I found to be incredible. Now, the mistake I've found most attorneys make is thinking that social media is a forum for posting things, just meaning any topic, so they can look active. This is not an effective means of getting in front of your past, present, and future clients, just to be clear. This largely is because a year ago, Facebook announced that they're prioritizing content coming from friends, family members, and groups. Well, how does this affect you? Well, it means that people are seeing less and less content and posts from businesses, brands, and media unless they pay for it, right? They made this change so businesses would have to pay to get back in front of people through boosted and promoted posts. So if you're spending time regularly posting on social media for your firm, you may not be producing as much value as you think, right? Look at the total followers and what have you. So just some food for thought right there. And if you haven't already, you should meet with your marketing team or agency to determine a budget to promote that valuable content you've written, so that way it actually does find its home, right, through the various social channels. I know I've personally generated many great cases for my clients doing this. Remember, the attention is clearly there with a third of the planet on it daily from their mobile devices, right? That, along with, believe it or not, 45% of people watch over an hour or more of video per day, typically from their mobile device, which brings me to online video, which is the internet's moving, believe it or not, towards 80% of all content being video related within the next 2 years. Well, why is that? Well, for one, we as a society would much rather watch something than read it, right? Using high quality video actually allows us to connect with our ideal clients in a way that traditional content could never do. With video, people are actually able to instantly see who you are, your demeanor, let's say if you appear trustworthy, and essentially would they want to even contact you or speak with you, right? There are right ways to do video, and there's many wrong ways to do video. Video is a component that aids in educating the viewer, building trust, and allows them to hear from an attorney or past clients in testimonial form, right? A mistake I see firms make is, for instance, putting a giant looping video on their homepage, which slows down the load speed of their site. Typically, people are not going to wait more than a few seconds, as I covered before, let alone 10 seconds for a site to load, right? Google actually states that 3 to 4 seconds is the ideal page load speed. In fact, I just actually met with a firm, and their site took 36 seconds to load. To make matters worse, they were spending thousands of dollars driving people to the website with advertising, right? And when I looked into the click to time spent on the web page, it was terrible. I advise them, guys, take this down immediately. Get the video down to a manageable size so it benefits the user, not deters them, right? No one's going to wait that long because you inherently believe it's broken. I mean, at least I know I do. You end up hitting the back button and find the next relevant result. But when done correctly, videos can showcase the human side of your practice, which can clinch you being the firm that they reach out to first, right? This is pretty interesting. There's a quote from Albert Einstein I feel is relevant here, which I actually tend to like. It's, intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. And the reason this is relevant is with digital strategies, you can decide to be one or the other, right? Either one. Either spend your time reacting to the evolutions and emergent technologies and trying to keep up by solving problems as they arise, or you can future-proof your marketing by staying on top of it and working with an agency that keeps you problem-free, right? Time is ticking, right? So just to be direct, if you don't have a responsive website, get one. You're already behind if you don't. Okay. And if you're running paid ads to mobile devices and send them to your homepage, which is not mobile friendly, you're wasting your money and your time and their time, right? And if you've ever used a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa, yet you haven't started thinking about how it's going to impact your digital campaigns in the near future, talk with your agency. Start looking at options. And if you don't have a marketing agency who understands your ideal clientele and you don't have any confidence in their ability to expertly craft an online experience, right, with relevant messaging and engaging content, get one, right? New cases depend on it. And I also wanted to mention this before we actually jump into questions and answers, which is right after this. I wanted to mention, because this just actually happened, it was January 27th, and it may not mean much at a glance, so let me break it down. As we all know, we want to effectively get in front of as many potential clients as possible, right? And to do this, we need to use the various advertising channels such as Google, Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, and more, right? And so with this new partnership that happened, Bing Ads will be the exclusive partner to serve and manage search ads, meaning ads that show up when someone searches, for 100% of the Bing, Yahoo, and now Verizon networks on desktop, tablets, and mobile devices. So from this, they're expecting a 15% or so, 10 to 15% increase in volume by putting it all under one roof. And it's fully going to migrate by the end of this quarter. So by April 1st, that will happen. So here's what that means. Anyone advertising on these networks to get cases will benefit from this partnership by now having one location to manage these campaigns. Bing's biggest issue, from my perspective anecdotally, has always been a lack of volume because most people still use Google. So this will be great for us because advertising on Bing is a lot cheaper than Google. Just to wrap it up, again, obviously, this concludes the 2019 State of Internet Marketing webinar for today. Again, funny enough, I was just going to mention anyone who needs that address again, if you want to get that hard copy book, it's scorpion.co/SOIM, and it's right there on the screen. And you can also contact me directly via email or phone as it's displayed on the screen. I'd love to hear from you or any feedback. And yeah, anything else on your end, Gabriella?
Well, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Scorpion, today, and thank you all for attending our webinar as part of the LTRC Industry Insight series. And just a special thank you to Peter, our presenter. So we will now conclude the webinar.